The difference between what we do and perhaps Wiccan law for us as ancestral medicine women stems from ancient times, right, from the past. And this caused a problem in past times when women and men who were considered to have what we will call forest law, to be witches and to be part of a Wiccan tradition. But we would say that's different, right? There's the forest law and then there's the Wiccan tradition. And the forest law, which is what we would say we are more a part of, is not necessarily the manipulation of the elements or the forces of nature to provide for a desired outcome, right? Because everything we did was about healing. So people would come and they would be unwell, and then we would provide herbs, or we would, maybe lay the hands on, or maybe if there were in very ancient times have the shaman to do journeys with them, or all of the other ways that we have said, stories, singing, love, color, all of these things. But all of it really has a very strong base and connection to forest law. And so it was not so much mixing, it's not a good word, but potions, right? Concoctions and potions. It was not about that, to create some manipulation of the environment, or as we said, the elements. It was not about that. It was about, using what's from nature, and maybe you mix them to create some sort of salve or something like that, definitely. But the forest law is really, and the Wiccans will say it's the same for them, but there is a difference in the way they express it. That's the difference. They express it differently. For us, the forest law is really about that connection with not just nature, right? Not just nature, but the universe. And even in ancient times, in past times, it was very clear that you were connecting not just with the trees and the plants and the wind and the water and the stones, not just with that, but actually with that energy that kept it going, right? That energy that kept it afloat, that made the plant stand up straight, right? That sent the tree on its varied journey with its branches and twigs and leaves, and sent the rivers on their journeys, right? It was very much, there was this energy, and lots of people in forest law, they can actually see it, right? They can look at a tree and they can really feel that the tree is connecting with them. And that's another thing. With forest law, it's very common that the plant, the tree, the water, the stone, whatever it is, will actually try to connect, will make the overture to connect, right? And that's why sometimes when people, they go into the forests or the bush and they actually feel something. Some people become fearful, right? They think that there's something here and they become very fearful. But if you can just put that fear aside, actually what it is, it's the energy of the plants, etc., whatever is around you, actually reaching out to you to connect, because they have this, the desire is so strong, because they do not have the mind that the human has, right, with all the overlays of the psychology. They have, it's like this purity, right? So there's no barriers. So when a human, for example, is walking through these areas or in the water, it's like it just has no other alternative but to reach out. And if you can accept that reaching out and then make the connection, it's such an amazing experience. And it's very interesting, this point, because you can see that sometimes, when you see maybe a field of flowers and you think, oh, it's the time of year, right? But it's interesting because yes, it's the time of year, and yes, that's when they flower, and yes, that's what they do. But also it's like this ripple effect, right? And it's like the message is sent through because they're all connecting with each other. And they say, now is the time. And sometimes you go out into the field, there's nothing. And the next day, boom, there they are. All these flowers, different colors or the same flower, all the heads are open. And it's fascinating how that happens. That's forest law, right? Obviously, if you are, we say forest law, we don't just mean forests. We mean all of desert, oceans, all of that. It's forest law. We say forest law because that is more of the place that we have come from, more of the energy that we have had. But that's the difference. That's the difference between what we think, the difference between the Wiccan tradition and our tradition is this idea of forest law and its expression. And yes, there are many people in the Wiccan tradition who would challenge what we have just said and say, but we are the same. But it is, as we say, in the expression. Yes, the underlying current of what they believe in, how they practice it, comes from this forest law, but how they express it is different. Blessings to you, our friends. We are the Ancestral Medicine Women, healing from the past for the present and the future.